So we're back, because last Sunday we weren't doing a Samurai Sunday, but we are today. So we're going to talk about comma today, and no, not this comma. So we're going to talk about these comma. Now, the reason why I don't say commas is because Japanese don't have plural. So it doesn't matter if you have 2, it doesn't matter if you have 10, still just comma, which means sickle. That's it. Nothing like fancy name. It's just a Japanese word for sickle. They are an Okinawa weapon. I'm not going to get into the history of it and whatnot because these are found all over the world, okay? Basically, there's different forms, different shapes from every culture or country. Philippines and Korea, they have ones that are similar to this, even in Europe. So I'm not going to get into the origins, where they came from. It's a simple farm tool, is basically what it is. Except these were used for a lot of times rice fields. So they cut the rice stalks down. And then Okinawans wanted a way they could defend themselves against bandits or whatever. You know, maybe samurai. I mean, you've got something that's only this long compared to, you know, a sword that's like 30 inches long. Anyways, so they developed a system of how to defend themselves with this, using these. And you can use 1, you can use 2. A lot of times it's 2. You're using 2 at the same time. And you basically hold them like you do a katana. So your hand is shaped just like that. Except you're holding it also with your forefinger and your thumb. A lot of time, you know, I've noticed people hold their thumb back here, or they'll wrap it around. The reason why you hold it like that is it gives you more of a range. That's why. So you could really stretch your arm out for a range, whereas if you have a wrist or like hammer grip, it kind of restricts you. So, but if you hold it like that, more relaxed, you got more movement. Some videos I watch, I know very, very little, but some videos I watch from people who train with comma. One would be out in front, either straight or turned. And this basically is like acts as a shield, where you use this one to attack. And you would swoop down into like the person's forearm and get them. So is it a practical style weapon, basically? Yes and no. If, let's say, you're going up against lightly armed, during that time period, bandits, they'd probably be very effective to use then. Because, you know, you got 2 sharp blades that you can hook. And that's what they would do, is they would, some of them would have a cutout right here, where someone had like a jo or a bow, which is a staff. You could hook it and push it out of your way, and you would have it locked in. So if you have it locked in here and you're putting pressure on it, they would have to go still this direction to get it unlocked. So they're just moving their weapon farther away from you. And then they would use this one to attack, or vice versa. So these ones don't. They don't have, not all of them have a little cutout hook on them for that. These are sharp. These are, in fact, the blades are not very thick. They're very thin. Like I said, they're a sickle. They're for cutting stock. So you don't want it to be really thick. There are some other ones out there that are made out of stainless. These are made out of stainless too as well. But you can see they actually put some heat to it. You know. Which is fine. Like I said, they're a sickle. This is not something you're going to go into battle with. Okay. It's just a personal defense weapon. That's all it is. My suggestion, if anybody wants to try movement with comma, you get ones that are the plastic ones, or ones that have the edges that you cannot sharpen. I did watch a video on one person who practices with commas, and he wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. And it was actually a pair of these exact same ones. And he embedded the tip 2 inches into his leg. In his thigh. He's lucky he didn't hit his artery. So, I am definitely going to be swinging these around. I mean, we'll have a cutting video on them to show how sharp they are and what they can cut. But I make sure once I cut, this blade is facing the opposite direction of my body. All the time. They can be extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. That's why I'm going to be trying to play around with these. Now, if you're out there cutting stock, of course, and stuff like that with them, yeah, because it's out here. A lot of the videos I saw where they show you how to use comma, they're always out here. Like this one will be out here, this one will be right here. So it's never close to your body at all, like with a sword. A sword would be. These are a lot different, probably because they are hooked and you're going to get yourself. And these are not used like Eskrim sticks. Okay, at all. I would think if you try to use these as Eskrim sticks, you're probably going to lose an arm. Okay. Or you're going to stab the side of yourself with these. So, like I said, use caution. Would it be fun just to cut stuff with? Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're mindful where this blade is. That's what makes it so dangerous, because you have a blade coming out this way, not straight. It's a lot easier when you have a sword or a knife. It's always, you know, because you can be mindful where it's at more, because it's either going to be this way, or if you have it out here, you know to turn, like a sword, you know to turn it so the blade edge, the sharp edge is always facing out away from you. These are a lot different. Lot different. But these ones right here are off of Amazon. Bud K does have these too. There was a different style I was going to get that were pretty sleek looking. They're about the same, like this. I think they were carbon though, blades. And they came sharp. But it turned out they were all out of them, so I got these. But people really seem to like these. They hold up pretty good. And it is a oak handle. You can kind of tell by the grain. Let me get it up there. You can tell by the grain it's an oak handle, so that's not bad. And then you have the blade. Okay. Then they got this picture right here. I guess it's supposed to be a dog. I don't know why, but that's a really jacked up looking dog. I've noticed too, this has the number 6 on it. The lighting in my house sucks. There we go. Has a number 6 on it. Supposedly they all have different numbers for competition. And I didn't look up to see what it is. It could be weight-wise, distribution, length. Normally, these are about the length they are. The reason why people really like these is more traditional comma. That's why. They're not very heavy. They're not even front heavy because it's not very thick. But boy, stick around to the end because I cut a few bottles just to show what it will cut. Water bottle, it just devastates them. Like, effortlessly. So, that is our Samurai Sunday. A little bit different. Still looking in to see what other type of Japanese weapons are out there. Now there is another one that is a kama. Kuromate, something like that. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name, but it is a kama. And then it has a chain attached to the handle. Long chain. Some historically had a rope, but mainly there were a chain with a metal weight on the end of it. And they would take it and throw it, the chain part, so you could ensnare people with it and yank them down and then run up and stick them. It's used a lot in ninjutsu. Tenshinu also teaches how to use it. So basically it's a kama with a chain on the end. I cannot get one in this state. They are illegal, but I can own the regular kamas. And no, I'm not going to stick a chain on the end of this because I do not want to go to jail over that. But yeah, so there's another different type. The name slips me. It's almost like kama, but it has another name to it. And you only use one, whereas with these, you typically use two. Unlike like eskrim. Eskrim sticks, you could use one or two. This one, you always use two. Because like I said, one's your shield, one's for attacking. So it's like using two swords, in a sense. So, but yeah, these aren't bad. They're nice and light. Wife's probably going to use them in the garden for cutting down stock. And they'll do it. They'll do it. They are sharp. They're no joke. They've got a nice, decent edge. I wouldn't even sharpen these anymore. Because like I said, unless you really pay attention, you could wind up getting yourself with one of these. Even though it's got a nice rounded end here, that point will embed right in you. So. But yeah, they're another style Japanese weapon from Okinawa. Which is kind of a fun little weapon, actually. Just like nunchucks, Okinawan. And they're not really a weapon per se. They're more of a training tool, whereas this, even in Japan, this is considered a training tool, a nunchuck, whereas this is actually considered a weapon. And it's a farming tool. Basically, that's what it is. They, like I said, they wanted a form that they can defend themselves. So it was a simple tool. A lot of historical, even Europe, whatnot. If you look at some of European simple weapons, they derive some of them from farming tools. They just developed a style how to use it. Some people say, oh, the kama didn't come from a farming tool. It was developed on its own. Bull. It's a farming tool. Straight up farming tool. These, like I said, they needed a way they could protect themselves. I mean, because farmers were the biggest. I mean, you figure if you're a common person in Japan during the Shogun and whatnot, yeah, there's still crime. Bandits, robbers. You could own a katana. You could own a wakizashi and a kodashi, which is basically the baby version of a tachi. But that's only if you could afford one. Whereas this was a simple farming tool that they probably even could have made themselves. So if you don't have the money, you improvise. And that's what they did in Okinawa. They improvised it. And it took off. People liked it. So that's Samurai Sunday. All about the kama. and its usage. So basically it was a farming tool, but also it was a way to a personal defense weapon. That's it. Quite interesting, simple, and sometimes the simplest weapons are the easiest, you know, because it's just a stick with the blade on the end. So that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and hopefully you stick around. It's not a very long cutting video. I didn't go crazy with these. Like I said, don't know how to use them properly, so I did simple just cuts with it. And we will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.